Good afternoon, dear students. The topic of the lecture is ecological crisis, ecological safety for humanity. Plan of the lecture. At first, ecological crisis and its manifestations. Acid rains, greenhouse effect, ozone screen integrity violation, pollution of the planet with super ecotoxicants and radioactive substances. Secondly, the reasons of ecological crisis. And the next one, ways to overcome the global ecological crisis. Ecological crisis in the different regions. As example is Samara region. Ecological safety for humanity. The biosphere is a global ecosystem. In connection with these all the variety of human activities in the biosphere leads to change in the composition of the biosphere, cycles and the balance of its constitutions substances. The direction and degree of these changes are such that the man himself has given them the name of the ecological crisis. The current ecological crisis is characterized by the following manifestations. Gradual climate change of the planet. General and local of the poles, individual lands areas, destruction of the biospheric ozone shield. And the next one, pollution of the world ocean with the heavy metals, complex organic compounds, petroleum products, radioactive substances, saturation with the carbon dioxide. The next one is pollution of the atmosphere with highly toxic substances. Radioactive contamination of certain areas due to radioactive waste disposal, man-made accidents. And the next one is the accumulation of household debris and industrial plastics on the land surface. The next is reduction of the areas of the woods, which led to an imbalance of atmosphere's gases, including a reduction of the concentration of oxygen in the planet's atmosphere. Mass and rapid disappearance of species of living substance. Deterioration of the living environment in populated areas. So, general depletion and lack of natural resources. There is the local and global ecological crisis. There is a distinction between a local and a global ecological crisis. The global crisis manifests on a planetary scale and thus is dangerous for the entire population of the Earth. It is much more difficult to deal with a global crisis than with a local one. Currently, the global ecological crisis includes four main components: acid rains, greenhouse effect, planet pollution by super ecotoxicants, and ozone screen integrity violations. Let's speak about these components in more details. Well, acid rains. Acid rains are atmosphere precipitation with pH lower than 5.5. Acidification of the precipitators occurs due to the entry to sulfur and nitrogen oxides into the atmosphere. Sources of sulfur oxide are mainly associated with the combustion of coal, petroleum, natural gas containing organosulfur compounds. Part of sulfur oxide is converted into sulfuric anhydride as a result of photochemical oxidation in the atmosphere. From sulfuric anhydride with atmospheric moisture, sulfuric acid forms. It falls into the soil with atmospheric precipitation. With low pH, soil erosion increases dramatically and the mobility of toxic metals grows. Also, acid precipitation causes forest degradation. The next component of global ecological crisis, as we said, is greenhouse effect. The heating of the inner atmospheric layers is a result of greenhouse gases absorbing the largest infrared part of the heat radiated by the Earth's surface heated by the sun. The mechanisms of this damage action you can see on the screen. Solar radiation passes through the clear atmosphere. Most radiation is absorbed by the Earth's surface and warms it. Some solar radiation is reflected by the Earth and the atmosphere. Some of the infrared radiation passes through the atmosphere. Some is absorbed and re-emitted in all directions by greenhouse gas molecules. The effect of these is to warm the Earth's surface and the lower atmosphere. Infrared radiation is emitted from the Earth's surface. This effect can lead to significant climate change with unpredictable impacts, such as rising sea levels and flooding of low-lying land areas due to melting Arctic and Antarctic snow. The next reason of ecological crisis is action of super ecotoxicants. These include chlordioxins, polychlorinated biphenyls, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, some heavy metals, for example, mercury, lead, cadmium, and long-lived radionuclides, which enter the environment as a result of accidents at chemical production, incomplete combustion of fuel in automobile engines, inefficient treatment of wastewater, disasters at nuclear reactors, and even combustion of polymer products in fires at garden sites. Super ecotoxicants are responsible for many allergies, diseases, increased mortality, disorders of the genetic apparatus of animals and humans. Another component of ecological crisis is ozone screen integrity violation. The ozone screen is the layer of the atmosphere on high 25 plus minus 5 kilometers. It absorbs biologically active ultraviolet radiation of the sun, which is dangerous for all living beings. Observation of ozone concentration in this layer over the last three decades records its substantial local decrease. Such sites, dubbed ozone holes, are mostly found above Antarctica. One hypothesis of the reason of ozone holes forming is the detrimental effects of freons, which enter the upper part of the atmosphere where light breaks them down to form free chlorine atoms. Further, chlorine atoms react intensively with ozone and damage ozone screen. In the conditions when a large number of people lives in megacities, the environment-friendly life is also impossible. Waste requires the construction of the waste processing plants for its disposal. Such plants are ecologically hazards because their gas emissions contain chlordioxins. The development of civilization led to complex environmental problems. So, global ecological crisis, due to anthropogenic interferences in natural processes, poses as a danger to life on Earth. What are the causes of the ecological crisis? There are several groups of reasons. At first, economic reasons. The high cost of treatment facilities often forces arms to save on nature or the construction of new plants. The costs of a market economy in pursuit of profits certainly led to a deepening of the environmental crisis. Secondly, scientific and technical reasons. The bulk of the flow of contaminants into the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere of the Earth is due to objectively exceeding scientific and technical difficulties. In most cases, production produces a gamma of byproducts that require an infinitely large amount of investment to fully dispose of it. Therefore, in practice, some permissible level of contamination is established. In the arsenals of many countries, there are large stockpiles of chemical weapons, chemical warfare agents, which are subject to destruction. However, a universal, effective, and totally harmless method of eliminating chemical weapons has not yet been developed. The next reason of ecological crisis is a low level of knowledge. Nowadays, people who make responsible technical decisions and do not process the basic of natural sciences become dangerous to society. Many of the disasters are related to the low level of technical managers and performers. And another cause linkage to last point is low level of culture and morality. In order to preserve nature, it is necessary that a person in contact with industrial or agricultural production with domestic chemicals is not only environmentally literate, but also aware of his responsibility for actions that cause clear harm to nature. So, ways to overcome the global ecological crisis are following. Environmental education for all sectors and ages of society. Secondly, establishing effective environmental legislation where every case of excess pollution must be prosecuted by law. Search for competent and efficient scientific and technical solutions. Institutions, laboratories, firms should work for ecology. And the next one, nature protection examination for every enterprise, every new construction project, etc. Thus, the environmental crisis is the greatest danger facing humanity today. So we have no alternative. Either we will cope with pollution or it will deal with most of the earthlings. It is a fact that the global ecological crisis is exacerbated by local environmental crisis factors. So let's study it on Samara region example. The local ecological crisis factors in Samara region are: at first, industrialization and urbanization of the Samara region. Secondly, natural deficiency of iodine and other microelements in the environment. And the next one is the powerful chemization of agriculture. Huge number of motor vehicles and unsatisfactory condition of motorways. These factors of local crisis exacerbate the influence of global ecological crisis components on population health. In connection with the emergence of diseases of an ecological profile, a new direction in medicine has appeared. This is an ecological medicine. But not only environment factors can be causes of environmentally dependent diseases. The growth of environmentally dependent diseases also can be explained by certain conditions of the artificial environment. The examples of these conditions you can see on the screen, and I think all of you know about it very well. So, a person in her daily work becomes increasingly hypodynamic. Drug pathology, which was a result of an extraordinary increase in uncontrolled consumption of medicines. It is known that change in body reactively can be caused by change in human lifestyle, nutrition, water supply, as well as immunological shifts associated with preventive and therapeutic practices. Well, let's speak about ecological safety for humanity, the next point of the lecture. Environmental safety is defined as a state of security. Vital interests of the individual, society, state. Biological foundations of life, health, and development. Population, flora and fauna, the natural environment as a whole from the consequences of anthropogenic impact, as well as from natural disasters and catastrophes. Human survival in the form of the holistic bioenergy and the social structure and its adaptation to changing living conditions constitute a task of human environmental safety. The concept of environmental safety includes ecological education, ecological training, ecological ethics of behavior, and a healthy lifestyle. So, ecological education. Natural sciences play a leading role in the environmental education. Environmental education provides for the formation of a system of views and beliefs, a culture of behavior, and the performance of specific tasks aimed at the improvement and preservation of nature. Environmental education should ensure that a person knows not only the requirements and norms of behavior in the natural environment and formally performs them, but also understands the objective necessity accepted as his own. The efforts of various countries in the field of environmental education are coordinated by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. The next component of environmental safety is ecological training. Ecological training should form an active, natural and protective position, responsible attitude to the natural environment. Environmental training is achieved by means of a complex of environmental and ecological training, including education in the narrow sense of the word, school and university environmental education. Promotion of environmental worldview. For example, the staff of the Department of General and Molecular Biology of Samara State Medical University, our department as you understand, has chosen a well-known approach in education through science and through the subject as the basic concept in ecological education and training. And the goal of this study, except educational part, is the ecological training and forming ecological ethics of behavior. Ecological ethics of behavior is also a component of environmental safety. Ecological culture implies that a person has certain knowledge and beliefs, is ready to act, as well as practical actions consistent with the requirement of careful treatment of nature. Formation of responsible attitude of students to the surrounding environment is connected with mastering not only the system of knowledge, but also with the complex of certain abilities, skills, habits. These skills can be divided into two groups. At first, knowledge and skills to study the environment through research and assessment. And the second group is knowledge and skills of socially useful activities to protect, care, and improve the environment. When we speak about environmental safety, we always speak about healthy lifestyle. The nature of a person's life, behavior, and thinking that ensures the protection and promotion of human health are called healthy lifestyle. There are physical health is the natural state of the body due to the normal functioning of all its organs and systems. Mental health depends on the state of the brain. It is characterized by the level and quality of thinking, the development of attention and memory, the degree of emotional stability, the development of will qualities. And the next one, moral health, is determined by those moral principles that are the basis of human social life, that is, life in a certain human society. So, the health of the person is the complex of his/her physical, mental, and moral health. In conclusion of our learning of medical ecology, we should say that in modern conditions, mankind can no longer develop without environmental orientation in all spheres of life, from economics to public consequences and culture. Human health, endogenous environment, is associated with the health of the biosphere, exogenous environment, through helio and geofactors, as well as through social factors. Thank you for your attention.